Over 2,000 years ago, one man did what everyone thought was impossible. He crushed every rival kingdom, crowned himself the first emperor of China, and set out to live forever. His tomb has never been opened, his secrets are still buried, and the legends around him are stranger than fiction. Today, we'll uncover 10 incredible facts about Qin Shi Huang, the ruler who tried to cheat death and may have succeeded in a way no one expected. The first to rule a unified China. Before Qin Shi Huang, China was made up of 7 rival kingdoms, each ruling themselves with their own armies and ambitions. For centuries, they fought in an era historians call the Warring States period, a time of constant alliances, betrayals, and massive battles. In 230 BC, a young king named Yingzheng from the Qin kingdom began his campaign to conquer them all. His armies moved quickly, defeating Han, Zhao, Yan, Wei, Chu, and finally Qi. Their success came from strict discipline, powerful weapons like the crossbow, and a clever divide-and-conquer strategy that stopped enemies from joining forces. By 221 BC, Yingzheng had done what no one else had, united the Chinese heartland under one ruler. He gave himself a new title, Shi Huangdi, meaning First Emperor. The Qin dynasty lasted only 15 years, but the strong, centralized government he built became the blueprint for all the dynasties that came after. But even as he secured his empire in life, he was already preparing for his rule in the afterlife, guarded by an army unlike anything the world had ever seen. The Terracotta Army. In 1974, farmers digging a well near Xi'an found something strange: clay fragments shaped like a human head. As archaeologists investigated, they uncovered one of the most spectacular discoveries in history: the Terracotta Army. Buried for over 2 millennia, this massive force of more than 8,000 life-size soldiers, along with chariots and horses, was created to guard Qin Shi Huang in the afterlife. Each figure has unique facial features, hairstyles, and armor, suggesting real soldiers were used as models. Originally, they were painted in bright colors, but the pigments vanished within minutes of exposure to air. Weapons like bronze swords, crossbows, and spears were buried alongside them, some still sharp today. The army is just one part of a vast underground city meant to mirror the emperor's empire. And if this is only the outer defense, what could possibly be hidden at the center? The Unopened Tomb. At the heart of the mausoleum complex lies the emperor's own tomb, sealed beneath a 250-foot earthen mound. According to the ancient historian Sima Qian, the burial chamber is a wonder. Miniature mountains and valleys, rivers of flowing mercury, a ceiling encrusted with jewels to represent the night sky, and deadly traps to ward off intruders. For centuries, these stories were dismissed as legend, until modern surveys detected mercury levels in the soil dozens of times higher than normal, matching Sima Qian's description. But the tomb has never been opened. Archaeologists worry that today's technology can't protect fragile artifacts, and if mercury vapors or traps are still active, excavation could be dangerous. So for now, the emperor's most precious secrets remain sealed, and as long as they do, the mystery only grows stronger. Quest for immortality. Qin Shi Huang wasn't just building an afterlife empire, he wanted to avoid death altogether. Obsessed with immortality, he sent expeditions across his realm to find the mythical elixir of life. Ancient records show governors reporting back with exotic herbs or apologizing for finding nothing. Court alchemists promised the secret to eternal life lay in mercury-based potions. Convinced, the emperor drank them regularly. Tragically, those elixirs were highly toxic. Historians believe he died at just 49 years old from mercury poisoning, killed by the very cure he thought would save him. But while his own life ended, the systems he built were designed to keep his empire alive for generations. Standardizing an empire. Uniting territory was one thing, uniting its systems was another. Qin Shi Huang standardized the written script into a uniform style, so that officials across the empire could all read the same characters, even if they spoke different dialects. He also standardized coinage, weights, and measures, ensuring fair trade and consistent taxation. Even the width of cart axles was made uniform so all carts could fit the same ruts in the road network. These reforms strengthened central control and laid the foundations for a unified Chinese identity that endured long after the Qin dynasty itself collapsed. And to protect this unified empire from threats beyond its borders, Qin Shi Huang would begin one of the most ambitious construction projects in history: the early Great Wall. To protect his empire's northern frontier from nomadic tribes, Qin Shi Huang ordered the connection and expansion of existing regional walls, creating the first version of the Great Wall. This early wall stretched thousands of miles and was built largely from packed earth. Construction was grueling and often deadly. Hundreds of thousands of laborers, soldiers, and prisoners worked in harsh conditions, and many never returned home. Though time has eroded most of the Qin wall, its legacy lives on in the massive stone structure built centuries later. But the emperor wasn't just building walls, he was also tearing down ideas that challenged his rule, burning books and burying scholars. In 213 BC, Qin Shi Huang ordered the destruction of many books, especially historical and philosophical works that glorified the past or questioned his authority. A year later, he punished hundreds of scholars who defied him, with some accounts claiming they were buried alive. The goal was simple: to erase competing visions of history and make the Qin version the only one that future generations would know. But the cost was the destruction of centuries of cultural heritage. Whether the scale of these events was exaggerated by later historians or not, they cemented his reputation as a ruler who valued obedience over intellectual freedom. And with so many enemies, it was only a matter of time before someone tried to remove him by force. Surviving assassination attempts. Qin Shi Huang survived several assassination attempts, the most famous involving an assassin named Qin Ke. Posing as an envoy, he presented a rolled-up map to the emperor. Hidden inside was a poisoned dagger. The attack was swift, and the emperor narrowly escaped by dodging around a pillar before striking down his assailant. The drama of the scene became a legend in Chinese culture, celebrated in art and opera, but it also fueled the emperor's paranoia for the rest of his life. Death in secret. In 210 BC, while touring the eastern provinces, Qin Shi Huang died, likely from mercury poisoning. Fearing unrest, his prime minister Li Si kept the death a secret for weeks. The emperor's body was placed in a carriage surrounded by carts of rotting fish to mask the smell of decay. Forged letters in the emperor's name manipulated the line of succession before the truth was revealed in the capital. It was a final act of political theater. But even though his dynasty collapsed just 4 years later, his name would live on in an unexpected way. The name China. The legacy of Qin Shi Huang's short-lived dynasty endures in an unexpected way. Many historians trace the name China to Qin. The name likely traveled through Sanskrit as Quna, then into Persian, and finally made its way to Europe. Though the Qin dynasty collapsed just 4 years after his death, the centralized system he built shaped every dynasty that followed, and his name became forever linked with the nation he forged. And perhaps in that sense, Qin Shi Huang did achieve a form of immortality after all.